Welcome, friends. So we've got the new release of Shri Jyoti Star 10.151, and there's a very cool new feature, a few other good things about it. And so I just wanted to show you this cool new feature. Anyway, so this is a simple screen for doing Muhurta. And one of the very nice things about the Shri Jyoti Star is it's the best possible software you can get for doing Muhurta. So one of the tools is this, which is looking at all the Panchanga things that are going on. The Panchanga is the five limbs of time, and if the Panchanga is good, generally the time is good, but you have to see the chart as well. And then there are ways of comparing the moment in time with the birth chart and seeing if it's favorable. So this is to do with what we call the Tarabala, or the quality of the star. This is based on nakshatras. And then there's the yogas of time, which are based on Varatiti and Nakshatra, the three principal limbs or anga of the time. So this is a very cool way of seeing everything at a glance. And down at the bottom here, we have other factors which need to be considered, like horas, and then the kalams, like Rahu Kalam, and these other Kala Velas. So if we go down to a day, we see it all spelt out in great detail. And we can see at this moment in time, we have a Surya Kalam, and it's Paridhi Kala Veda, and it's a sun hora. So it's good. Even if the sun is given a red because it's nominally malefic, but it's good. So here is the lunar days, what we call Rikta Tithi. It's the fourth day of the lunar month, which is considered problematic unless you do your Ganesh mantras, in which case you're in good shape. You're supposed to do Ganesh mantras on the Rikta Tithi number 4. Okay, and this is the Karana half lunar day, which is related to money and wealth and career. The lunar day is more to do with relationships. The solar day is for health and vitality, so it's a Friday. This is the current time up here. This is the sunrise. These are the starting times. And then we have nakshatra, and we have the yoga, which is changing here. Nakshatra is changing right at the end of the day, and then all these other factors. All right, so there are two things which are very useful, which have been added here. So one is in the time change tool, you can press Control J for jump, or you can get it from here, this menu, or you can click on this little thing. It's a clock inside a blue. And what you get is this. So this is the time change bar, and this switches between the primary chart, which is here in red, and this is the secondary chart, which is currently the transit chart. So what's been added here are these elements along the bottom. You can move forward by one Vara or lunar or solar day, one Tithi or lunar day, one Karan or half lunar day, one Nakshatra, moon's nakshatra, or one yoga. The nakshatra is, we know what the nakshatra is. The yoga is the sun plus the moon, and the tithi is the sun minus the moon. So the yoga is everything, how everything is coming together. So if we go back to the week display here, and we click one of these things, suppose you want to go back to the beginning of the yoga. So here it is. This is the beginning of this yoga. And then if we want to go back to the next one and the next one, like that. And then we can go with the nakshatras like this. So this one goes forwards, this one goes backwards. The karana is similar, backwards and forwards. If you're right at the beginning of a karana, it'll just move to a little bit to put you at the end of the previous one. Or any of these 5 things, it goes back to the beginning. If you're going backwards, it'll go back to the end of the previous one. Then you click it again, it'll go to the end of the previous one, like that. And if you're going forwards, it'll go just to the beginning of the next one and the beginning of the next one. So this can be used with multiple things. There's a nice table which shows all these factors in it, or this very beautiful graph. And in many other places, actually, the Panchanga is used. So rather than putting buttons inside some table, I've provided it here so it's globally available. Now, when you're doing Panchanga and you're doing Muhurta, the most important thing generally for Muhurta is the nakshatra. And the nakshatra has this thing called Tarabala. So certain nakshatras are favorable and some unfavorable from a particular position of the moon. And this is, one thing is the general unfavorability, but then there is also the question of nakshatras which are good for a particular purpose. So under the special menu, we have the thing called group muhurta. This is a very nice feature, the group muhurta. So I want to show you this new feature, or this improved feature, which is very, very useful, and I think it's only to be found in the Shri Jyoti Star software, which is the group muhurta. Now, the idea of this group muhurta was to allow you to do muhurtas for multiple people, like a couple or even a whole family. So if you've loaded the charts of the two people or the multiple people, they will all come listed here. At the moment, we just have one chart. This is actually the Chaitra Shukla chart for Washington, D.C. for this year, which of course is interesting to see what is going on here in the world this year. And this is just the transit chart. But this is just to show you how it works. So if you double click on this, it didn't used to respond to double click. So that's one improvement. And then down here, we could have something like, I don't know, opening a shop. And so you select this is a purpose. There's a long list of purposes. So you could select some purpose for the muhurta, and you've got the list here of members. And you can move them out with this button, like this. You have to select it and move it out. And then you can move it back in with this button or double click. And then all you have to do is click search. It's just ridiculously easy. And so it takes into account which nakshatras are good for this particular purpose, and then which are good for all the members of the group. So if you have lots of people in the group, the number of good nakshatras will reduce. You may end up with only a couple, and it shows you relatively what is good from the moon, from the sun, and the ascendant. So it can be good from the moon, it can be bad from the ascendant, this happens. And it's sorted according to the total strength. So here Rohini is particularly good. And it's also taking into account the relative position from the moon around the zodiac, because at different stages in the zodiac, you get different strength of results. The nakshatra may be so-called good or bad, but the distance away from the moon makes a big difference. So that's why you get different scores, like 12 or 9 or 6 or something. And occasionally some nakshatras are particularly favorable and they get boosted. So it's the relative scores that's important. And then there's more here. You can click for a whole report on the transits. And now another thing that's very good, that's totally new in this release, is that this screen stays open if you start working with the chart. Before, you had to close this to work with the chart. I realized when I was doing my own work that was inconvenient. So now, because I do Jyotish, I optimize the software for doing Jyotish. If you're just a computer programmer writing it, what do you know? You don't know what's convenient, inconvenient. So it's that's why people benefit using my software because they're getting optimized software. So that's why I've made some improvements here. So you can just park this, here we're just sharing a screen, but it could be parked away from the main screen anywhere. And you can you've got a view of these good nakshatras, and then you can play with something like this to quickly find. You see, you can go up to a month here. So here you have all the nakshatras, the short forms of them. You're looking for Rohini, well, here's Rohini. But of course, this is for education and this is for opening a shop selling. That's why, this is red and this is supposed to be good here. So if we switch the purpose here, then it will turn green. And we can easily have a look at this thing. We grab hold of this little line here and move it. So moving the time through and dropping it on Rohini, we see it's on a Monday, and you can see all the different factors. Then you can zoom into it, see it on the day level, and all the different factors. So you can move away from some of this red, and it's still in Rohini. So this is one way of very fantastic way of quickly finding a good muhurta for multiple people at the same time. And you should always check the chart because here we see the moon's exalted nicely. So it's a good day. It's actually a good day. You have to think about whether you want Ketu in the ascendant, but Ketu in Leo is quite powerful. Do you want Sun in the eighth house? You have to think about the chart as well. So this is it. We've improved the group Muhurta. We've added this way of stepping through the different Panchanga elements and other minor improvements. So 10.1.51 is available from the Microsoft Store. You probably get an automatic update. Investigate these things and enjoy. But if it doesn't automatically update, you just remove the software and reinstall it. It takes just a few moments to do that, and you'll get the latest version. Okay, thank you very much.